Hi everybody. I remember to check my phone this time because it's taking a key part in this video. Today is September 5th of 2021. I am going to be reading something that I saved to my phone that I posted to Facebook that describes my past 2 weeks. Because otherwise I would ramble horribly and this would be a 3-hour video. I would like to point out that there have been happy moments, there have been funny moments, there have been light and everyday kind of moments, but right now I'm not peopling. I'm just that about sums it up. I'm just in a place where I'm currently worse than normal at returning friends' messages, and if I think about anything I get frustrated, and I'm just basically so over it, feeling that people who stand next to me in the grocery store line start to feel over it. I'm over it contagious. So, my past 2 weeks. I posted this on Facebook, but I know not everybody in the fucking world's on Facebook. I'm going to read from it. Hopefully I have no alarms that will go off in the middle of it. Here we go. A sample of my past 2 weeks and why right now I'm just so over everything and not peopling for a while. So, as I just mentioned, if you contact me and I take even longer than I usually do, it's nothing about you that is making me late in responding. It is just that my spoons are like down here or somewhere, and I'm having to like very much choose what they get aligned with, you know, it's prioritizing. And if it's general normal conversation, nothing that's like an emergency, I'm just okay. So here we go. My past 2 weeks. Number 1, lost my passport while in Serbia, got my temporary one after a panic, as well as a bit of a hassle at the embassy due to a minor disagreement with one of the personnel there, but it got worked out. I got my temporary passport. 2, I found out that this thing where I have a specific anxiety trigger that I learned makes the left side of my hand start to go tingly numb from my pinky finger and like starts crossing across. And it usually only gets to like my middle finger, but sometimes it spreads further. But by the time it gets to my middle finger, it starts like moving up to my elbow, and it just like feels really weird because I don't lose full function of it or anything, but like everything, you know what it feels like when you can't feel your fingertips and stuff, and like your arms feeling tingly and wonky because you pinched a nerve or something. That would start to happen just because of my anxiety, and then when the anxiety went on long enough, it started happening in my right hand, so, but slower, and it didn't get that far. So that thing that happens on my left hand side on my hand and slightly a little bit up to the elbow, that reacted to just one specific type of trigger. That's the only thing that it was. One thing made that happen. I am in Serbia. I'm making my way through a crowd because I'm going to get on the bus to, the hops that eventually get me back to here in Tirane. And I fall into people like 4 times. And I'm thinking at first, it is a crowd. So I'm like kind of leaving, and I've got a backpack on me, like my proper backpack, and my little black bag that I carry. So I'm thinking maybe it's because I've got a backpack on and like I'm losing my balance because of that. But then I realized, wait a minute, this thing has barely fucking anything in it. It's like I could whack it around like this. It's like nothing. So that's not throwing me off balance. Wait a minute, my left toes are tingly and numb. Oh my God. The problem is that this has now progressed to, at the hip on my left hand side, I lose control of my left leg. My left toes go numb, and my leg gets a weird wonky feeling, and I cannot control it from the hip down. If I go to walk, I just go, basically, if I don't catch myself. So, waiting on the bus, I like leaned onto my right leg and like waited it out, and then I managed to get on the bus, and so that happened. The newest anxiety body weird thing, they come and go, different stuff that's new. The newest thing is I lose control of my left leg, and I start falling over. Next, number 3. When I got back here, I put in for my new proper passport to replace my temporary. And I found out that the wait time on the embassy website is off. And instead, it should arrive at about the same time that I'm supposed to go to Serbia next week, because I'm getting my second Pfizer jab. So I won't have my new passport in time to do the crossing, but I'll, frustrating. Number 4, due to an odd set of border crossing occurrences, I currently don't legally exist in any country. Like, I am not checked into any country. I'm not even like checked out of the last country that I was in, because I was never checked into the last country I was in. I just left Serbia, went through Montenegro with them not looking at all, let alone stamping my passport. And then I figured, at least when I enter Montenegro's a little, anywho, about such things. Once I enter Albania, they'll, chunk me in and blah, blah, blah. Oh no. When you go through passport border control, ground method, you stop at the outbound. The outbound countries, they check your shit, stamp you, and then you move along to a little ways just down the road is the next country's inbound border control, which you then get out, show your passport, they look you over, blah, 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 stamp you, in. And you do this like each border. I got stamped out of Serbia. And that's it. Not into Montenegro, not out of Montenegro, not into Albania. I am completely dropped off the planet as far as general international law standing is. I don't exist in the country. Which I find funny, honestly. It's quirky and funny, it's a weird event. In and of itself, that's kind of cute. It's a story, However, like I said, next week, going to Serbia. And I have to leave Albania with no stamp showing I came in. Hopefully that won't be an issue. Assuming it's not an issue, this is what it looks like for when I arrive in Serbia. Due to all that stuff, me not existing in a country, having no stamps for Albania, if I get past the Albania border, whether or not Montenegro bothers to stamp me in and out, this is what's going to happen. I'll be entering Serbia next week as an American whose temporary passport shows that I left Serbia, dropped out of the international map for 3 weeks, then popped up to travel in another country just to travel back to Serbia. That sounds dodgy as fuck. So, hopefully all will go well. So that's on my mind. It's like, oh great, I look very suspicious as an American entering Serbia, which usually is not a problem. They're very nice, very lovely. But that I think you'll agree, that sounds like kind of a special situation. 6, due to the passport thing also, I've realized that the Serbian government registration for my Pfizer vaccine, which I got the first dose, to go back in and get my second dose, the way they keep track of it is your passport and your passport number. I only have my temporary one, and even if I had my new real one, I now have a new passport number. So I have to go and be like, it's me. No, really, see if like the bureaucracy there, just goes, oh, well, that makes sense, and will change me in the computer and let me go get my second jab. Or they could just go, meh, no, get out. So I go next week to Serbia to get my second jab, and because I have a temporary passport and it's all like a very tight ass government registration computer system, I may get denied my second shot. If they let me get it, woohoo, they changed they just changed the data with my paperwork in the computer so that, okay, they have my new passport number, no problem, I go get my shot, cool. They give me a certificate saying that, hey, I got both shots. I then come back to Albania. My new real passport arrives, and I now have a different passport with a different number than what is on my certificate. And I can't think of a single fucking way to get Serbia to change that. I'll get forward onto that further down. But if by, no miracle my proper passport doesn't arrive in like the next 2-3 days, and they do allow me to get my Pfizer jab, I will have the wrong passport number on my proof of vaccination that I need to use to get places. So the best thing that I can do is keep my canceled temporary passport and carry that with me extra everywhere I go, so that I can just like show that with my new passport and be like, this is what happened every time I try to cross a border, and see if they accept it. So that's fun for the future. A happy thing that occurred was my laptop, Gordon, he as I've complained about many, many times, his hinge on one side broke a long time ago. And the company was like, we'll replace it, cool, you know, it's obviously a defect, you know, in how it's made, warranty, yeah. And in talking to them, they, you know, along the way of COVID starting and delaying all, you know, their production, and you couldn't ship things places, so they couldn't like ship me a replacement right away because it was like gonna like disappear if it gets anywhere at this rate because the whole world was shut down. And then I'm changing countries and the rules for everything keeps changing, and again the production of shit is shut down or slowed, so they couldn't give me a new one with any amount of normal timing. And so it's like, oh, and I would check in with the company every so often. I'm like, you know, do we have any idea, you know, as things got moving along, where I'd update them. I'm like, okay, you know, if this is ready at some point, I've moved countries, so I have to give you a new address. Basically, eventually, I'm here. I'm going to be here for a while. When the last time I spoke to the support technician, who is the guy that I always talk to, he's dude in charge, he had very nicely been like, I'm in Bosnia right now, you're in Serbia right now, I've got family down there, I can either bring you one of the models that is, you know, similar to yours, that has been just like used for testing 3 times, so it's brand freaking new. I can just like bring it down and exchange it by hand, and like, you know, it'll be like a weekend thing. I'll come down and see family and we'll meet up and exchange product. Or you can wait for the new model to come out, which has link of improvements. And I was like, I'll wait on the improvement thing. You've talked me into it. So, but again, the COVID stuff made it an elongated issue. And last I talked to him in May, he told me, oh, it should be about a month. I just emailed him a few days ago now because, yeah, nothing. Again, I'm not ragging on them. They've been awesome. It's you know, it's how the world is right now. That's the problem. And he was like, wait a minute. Let me check with, you know, this branch that we have in Germany. They may have one that we can, you know, that is ready and they can ship to you. You've been waiting, you know, we'll get one shipped out to you. I'm like, okay, cool. And he checked. Sure enough, they had, you know, in their shipping processes and whatnots, they had one that they could send my way. And so I was like, happy day. We worked out that, you know, I go to FedEx, ship it on out, and it goes to Germany, and then my new one comes back, and I have 2 hard drives inside of it that are mine that they're going to switch over for me while they, you know, do last minute. They're for customization. They're gonna like do my hard drive. Hard drives, only one will fit because I had the happy of, after like a year and a half or 2 years of Gordon is falling apart. Like, it's not just side hinge. It's like sometimes he won't connect to the Wi-Fi. Only one speaker works. Like, you know, like all this like stuff started going because he just kept getting worse. And so I sent him out. I'm in Albania. Has to go to Germany. New one in Germany. Comes back. This is rock on. So, and, you know, I usually just walk up to where the FedEx is, but I was like just so excited I took a taxi and walked back. And they only took cash. So I was like, oh shit, and so I left while they were like bundling it all up and stuff to go to the nearest ATM, which was quite a little bit away. Basically, middle of a park, like filled social area, lots of people. I step on an uneven bit of pavement, fall completely onto all fours. Total loss of dignity right there. I had my very new, very expensive, this phone in my right hand because I've been using it. And you know what happens when you go down on all fours with a phone in your hand? When you land on your hands, like a quarter of your body weight, half of your forward weight goes on to the phone that's underneath your hand. So while I'm in the joy of shipping out, and then I'll soon be getting a new sexy Gordon, I managed to fall in a public place all the way down onto all fours. Massive dignity loss, which I'm very touchy about. So that was great. And then I got up and saw my phone. I'm like, oh fuck, and went to try to use it, and it was just all fucked up. So I smashed and broke my phone while I was getting Gordon sent out. So that put a change on the day. That meant, because I kind of need my phone, I needed to cough up the money that I was completely not expecting to have to use, excuse me, on a very expensive screen replacement. So that was happy. Number 10. About the passport thing. The email that they send you telling you that you got proper registration, your dates for your shots and crap. They give contact number, email and number and stuff to, email them, send your questions and all that. They handle it with that email. Multiple times of rephrasing, asking a couple different questions to attempt, and not even in the same email, separate emails, because I've learned don't put two different questions in the same email because that can't be handled. But I spent a day, multiple emails back and forth with the section of the Serbian government organizing and running vaccinations through the email that is given to you to talk to them about this stuff. And I legitimately cannot tell if they just could not understand what I was asking each time, or if they were just being passive aggressive. Because at one point they told me finally, we're not the people who handle this. Email somebody who does. I'm like, what I was trying to do, because of all the might not be given my shot, will have the wrong number on my international certificate Dumaflaci, I got my shots. I was trying to ask, because you have a set date to come in, you have an appointment to come and get your shot. Can I move that back, 2 weeks, to this date? And of course, this is because by then I should have, my second proper passport, which would have the real new number. So as long as they accepted it to give me my new shot, the certificate would be correct, and I would be correctly registered in the Serbian, government computer system, so it doubtfully ever would be tracked. I'm in there correctly, and the certificate is correct. I don't have to, drag around other stuff, answer weird questions. Cool. Nope. 11. Gordon has a tracking number on him, which has been given to the tech support guy with the company, and so we're both following his progress. Sent out by FedEx / TNT shipping that work together here, and of course, shipping companies being what they are and having their routes and stuff, instead of heading towards Germany, it had to do a sidetrack into Bulgaria. And he stopped moving. It's like, what's the matter in customs? What's going on? Because it was being held. And it turned out that for about 2 days, a little bit less, once it updated and said, the Bulgarians were holding Gordon hostage as a dangerous parcel. So I had a good full time of not knowing if he's going to get shipped forward to Germany, and I'm going to get my replacement that I was so happy about all this time. If they're going to try and ship him back to me, which it would not get back to me between, I'm not going to go into it, the way that the paperwork for shipping out was done, and also there was a previous FedEx issue that relates to computer laptop, the company thing where FedEx fucked up and just lost the computer completely, just gone. They had no idea. So I'm like, if they don't eventually forward him on to the Germany trip, he very likely will never get the fuck back to me, which I care about Gordon. I love my Gordon. The laptop itself, I give a fuck about. And I make the distinction. There's the laptop, as far as the pieces of plastic and metal, and there's Gordon, the laptop. I care about the latter. The first, don't give a fuck. Whatever. Meh. If the new company, before, sent me a new Gordon because it wasn't my fault that FedEx fucked up, then, I've got a new Gordon. I'm happy. Except I had a 1 terabyte and a 4 terabyte drive inside of that Gordon. And because of how damaged he was, I couldn't get the back off of him to pull them out on my own. So the company was going to switch them, into the new one for me and then send it. So if this Gordon disappeared in the world of FedEx, I would probably, because my computer company is awesome, end up with a new Gordon, but I would have to deal with just the fact of it, and then the money of it, and then the shipping to get it to fucking Albania, which is like $50 before you even start with the customs fees and stuff. That's just crossing the border. To cross the border into Albania, you have to pay at least $50 for shipping fees here. I would have to then pay to get a new set of hard drives that were at least totaling 5 terabytes. As it was, that was running out. But just to get a replacement of a 1 and a 4, or any combination where I have 5 terabytes, that's the minimum I need inside the laptop right now. And that's a lot of fucking money. So that was that. Eventually, it did get moved. It's in transit again. It's in Belgium now. Okay. We're getting closer. So there's that. Number 12. Last one, finally. I know this is running to like 30 minutes. I could have just read straight through it, but I got emotional, which is the entire issue here. Number 12. The whole leg anxiety thing, losing control, falling over, it won't work. Toes numb, tingly. Well, it happened that time at the bus station. But it hasn't, like, been an issue since. I'm like, well, you know, I was, like, dealing with a crowd of people and finding my bus, and, you know, it wasn't actually that stressful of a thing, but, you know, sometimes just stuff that you didn't realize you were that stressed or whatever, your body doesn't, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, I got up and I'm doing stuff in the house, and I go to walk across the bathroom as I'm doing things, and all of a sudden, nearly pitch forward on my face twice in a row, because I'd been having, like, even though I was in a good mood, I'd been having, like, a serious discussion in my head about something. Not upsetting, not anxiety causing, in particular. I was, like I said, good mood. I was just having, like, serious conversation thoughts. Left leg stopped working. And I almost fell on my face twice just trying to walk across my bathroom to get stuff done. I had to stand there and wait and, like, lean on my right hand leg and, like, lean on to the left and see how I felt. And, you know, kept doing that until, like, okay, this is good enough to walk on. It's not back to normal, but I can do this. And I got back to the living room and sat down and, you know. So, that has been 2 weeks. Passport panic of loss in Serbia. Temporary gotten with a slight bit of difficulty, but nothing serious. A lot of panic involved in that. Found out that I lose the use of one leg if I have the wrong type of anxiety going on. Brand new. Found out that my new passport will not be here in time for my Serbia trip to get my second Pfizer jab. So I'm going to not only have to explain to them and try to get them to still give me my second shot, even though I have a different passport than what is in the registration system. I will then get a 2-shot government certificate with the temporary passport's passport number on it, and then I'll get my real passport that has a different number on it. So at best, I will be carrying around, stuck bothering with the canceled temporary passport in addition to my normal one, just so that when I go to use that certificate, I have to bust out the canceled one and go, this is the story, to get across the border. Then I'm trying to ship out Gordon on a happy day, excited about it, fall down, totally lose my dignity, which is a terribly touchy embarrassment subject for me. I'm very touchy to embarrassment. Smash my phone beyond use, have to pay the money to fix my phone. There's just so much. Then Gordon got held hostage by the Bulgarians, and there was a whole hard drive thing. And it's been just one thing after another. I get the whole emailing with the section of the Serbian government that is specifically for asking questions about vaccination procedures either couldn't or wouldn't answer a very simple question and then brushed me off. I'm not peopling very well right now. So, don't hear from me for a little bit. It is not you. Oh, yeah, and the part where I'm not in a country. And I have to deal with border issue stuff on getting out of this country when I'm not in this country or any other country for that matter. I have no out stamp from Montenegro or another bordering country that they can be like, oh, well, it shows that you left this country, so, obviously there was a mistake as you came in. Nope, just nothing. So I get to do that when I leave, and then I get to enter Serbia as an American, showing that I left Serbia, disappeared from the international map for 3 weeks, popped up in Albania all of a sudden, and then came back to Serbia, which looks dodgy as fuck. So that's my 2 weeks. And it's not over, because now I'm in the holding pattern of wait and see what happens Wednesday, because that's when I leave for my bus trip to get back to Serbia for my Pfizer shot. So this isn't even done. This is coming up Wednesday is when I have to tackle portions of that. And by Friday, I should know at least that I've been able to get the shot or not. Because, yeah, that's Thursday. Friday, I don't, it's later it's at the end of next week. I've got it written down. Well, I know when the day is. So that's my 2 weeks. It hasn't ended yet. I have to find out how a huge portion of this works out between now and Friday. So this is a 40-minute almost update of it all started out very nice with seeing friends before everything started. Well, after I lost my passport, but I was getting the temporary, so that was okay. So that wraps up everything. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and brood and continue to complain. But yeah, so I still have another week of not knowing shit about what's going to happen, and then going through whatever does happen. Maybe I'll have a happy update Saturday. Who the fuck knows? Anyways, that's why I'm not peopling right now. Goodbye to all my deltas and anybody else who watches this.